Hello everyone, and welcome once again to the Temple Institute Parsha class. My name is Gedalia Meyer, and I'm podcasting from Ma'ale Adumim in Israel. We live in a world of contradictions. On the one hand, many of us have blessings in our everyday lives that the richest of the rich couldn't have dreamed of even 100 years ago. On the other hand, we have taken those blessings for granted to a degree that makes it almost impossible to appreciate them for what they are. Also, on the other hand, those very blessings have made it so that those who do not share them, for whatever reason, tend to resent their fate in life to a much greater degree than if nobody had them. But to further the contradictions, those same relatively miserable people have a guarantee of basic survival that their ancestors of the 19th century would look upon with the utmost envy. The wonders of modern science and technology have broadened our possibilities in almost everything imaginable. They have almost doubled the average lifespan of pretty much everybody. At the same time, they have experienced our capacity for doing almost anything so that the average person with no extraordinary skills can do what the most adept expert couldn't possibly consider doing at the close of the last World War. But also at the same time, an almost palpable cloud of malaise has infected many of those very beneficiaries of these wonders, so that whatever benefits they reaped have been fairly evenly balanced by the angst of meaninglessness that has accompanied them wherever they are found. We live in a world of blessings and curses. It almost seems as though the two must go together like Siamese fraternal twins. The blessings tend to be of the more material nature, but there is no question that there are plenty of spiritual blessings to be found, even in our world of plastics and digital everything. The curses appear to lean towards the spiritual side, with unhappiness and lack of purpose being the most common. But there is no lack of material curses, even in our world of everything available at the push of a button. We still have hunger and crime and all sorts of very material problems that affect every one of us, to say nothing of the specter of death, which is still very much alive and probably haunts us more than it ever did our ancestors. There are probably very few of us who would willingly give up the blessings in order to avoid the curses. Those blessings are just too tangible to sacrifice for the vague threat of those curses. We would probably rationalize that we could somehow get lucky and the curses will miss us while we bask in the pleasure of those readily available blessings. On top of that, this option is not really being offered to us in any way. We are stuck with what we have and there's no turning back. We have to live with those blessings, even if they come at the price of a few curses. This week's Parsha is called Ki Tavo. Those words mean, when you come, an introductory phrase to a commandment of presenting the first fruits of one's crops at the sanctuary, including a declaration of thanks for the great blessing of living in the promised land flowing with milk and honey. This section is followed by a similar one dealing with the commandment to bring a special tithe in the third year of the 7-year agricultural cycle that was used in biblical times. The presentation of this tithe to those who receive it is accompanied by another declaration, this one stating that everything was done according to the law and asking God to reciprocate with the classic biblical blessing. Following this is a more general divine promise that if the Israelites keep all the commandments carefully and dedicate themselves to God, then God will indeed reciprocate by making them a unique and treasured nation, the highest nation of all, with the destiny of praise, fame, and glory, and always remain holy to God. It all sounds very optimistic and wonderful. What could possibly go wrong? Well, from there it goes into a series of instructions concerning erecting large stones that were to be set up on 2 hills immediately after crossing the Jordan River to enter the land. Upon these stones were to be written the words of this Torah. These 2 hills, called Eval and Gerizim, were to be the setting for a public proclamation of curses and a parallel proclamation of blessings. Although only the curses are listed in the Parsha, which were to be on Mount Eval, tradition has it that the exact opposite of those curses were to be proclaimed on Mount Gerizim. These curses and the parallel blessings are for very specific violations or for upholding of laws of the Torah. Following this is a somewhat extended series of general blessings, which will be granted if the Israelites indeed follow the precepts of the Torah. Most of these strike the modern reader as very biblical. They are about livestock and granaries, the fruits of the womb, the soil, and the animals. They promise freedom from enemies, surpluses of food, and of course that most biblical of blessings, plentiful rain in its proper time. All this comes about under the condition that they continue to follow the Torah and dedicate themselves only to God. But the bulk of the Parsha consists of the parallel of these blessings, a seemingly interminable list of curses of every imaginable sort. These range from various diseases to famine, to depression, to eating of one's own children during a military siege. Pain and misery of every gruesome kind is included in various parts of these curses. Sprinkled within all that is being sold into slavery, losing everything they have, being driven to insanity, and of course that most biblical of curses, locusts devouring everything. It ends with exile from the land and being reduced to serving idols instead of God. A general sense of hopelessness is promised as a conclusion, perhaps fitting and perhaps a bit anticlimactic. There are considerably more curses than there are blessings, for reasons that aren't made clear in the Torah. The list of curses is so long and so awful that the custom is to read it rapidly and in a low tone in many synagogues. People just don't want to hear this sort of thing. But there they are, right there in the text. And they have to be read year after year. We hear the same words every year as much as we long to hear something else. But those blessings sure sound great. Who wouldn't want to hear that they will be blessed in everything that really matters in their life? They tend to be material blessings, food and rain and victory in wars. But in the midst of them, we find a little interjection of a more spiritual nature. Quote, Hashem will establish you as his holy nation, as he swore to you, when you keep the commandments of Hashem your God and go in his ways. And all the nations of the world will see that the name of Hashem is called upon you, and they will be in awe of you. This one seems like the odd man out among all those material blessings. Like that earlier blessing about making the Israelites the greatest nation on earth who will be praised and glorified. This one also promises uniqueness on a national scale. However, this uniqueness is spelled out a little more in this later blessing. It isn't some unclear thing like being, quote, a treasure among the nations, or receiving heaps of praise and glory. It isn't even being the greatest of all the nations. It is just this, that everyone else will see that, quote, the name of Hashem is called upon you. What exactly is so great about that? Why is it even a blessing to begin with? First off, it isn't just any group or nation that can claim to truly have the name of God called upon them. This is the classic biblical description of the Israelites that has been so well known historically through much of the world. It has also been highly resented and caused no end of tragedy to the Jews. This is the chosen people motif in all its glory. Second, this is a very specific blessing, the likes of which may be unique to the Bible. Blessings of the more material sort are found everywhere. It is hard to imagine life or religion without them. But this one has none of that. There is no surplus of food, no greatness, no victories in war, and no freedom from all the curses that have forever plagued humanity. It is simply that the name of God will be called upon you. Why is this a blessing? Perhaps the answer to this question tunes us in to the true nature of blessing and may even free us to some degree from the curse that always seems to accompany or parallel it. This one is the epitome of blessing. It is simply saying that you will be blessed to be forever associated with whatever God represents. It lasts as long as the beneficiaries remain dedicated to God. No curse, no matter how grave, can possibly touch this blessing. To be a nation with whom the name of God is associated is to be a nation that is uniquely holy by attributing everything to God, even that which seems cursed. Whatever befalls the individuals of such a nation, that status will remain as long as the nation remains with that conviction. It is one of the great ironies of Jewish history that just as many of the curses have found fulfillment over the past few thousand years, so has this very blessing. The other blessings, for the most part, have come and gone through the centuries. The Jews have had times of goodness and times of struggle, but this particular blessing has always been there, like a steady beacon on a lighthouse in the midst of a storm. The Israelites and their successors, the Jews, have always been known, for better or worse, as the people upon whom the name of God is called. We have blessings and curses of all sorts over the course of our lives. We may not call them blessings and curses any longer, but that is still exactly what they are. Our versions today may not resemble the variety found in the Bible, but that is immaterial. We experience them in every aspect of our lives, whether we recognize them as such or not. But there is one blessing that is available to all and may be immune to any curse. This is the blessing of being associated with the name of God. It may no longer be available for an entire nation, but is waiting patiently for any individual who wishes to assume it. It is simply a matter of being holy and recognizing that in the end, everything, blessing or curse, has its source in God. If one can truly do this, people will indeed be in awe. Shabbat Shalom.